Alright, hey everyone, this is Rudy, and this video is to Euphoric Impact. And if you want to hang around, feel free, but you may find the video boring. If you do hang around, feel free to add your comments. I would ask that you be civil, and I know that race can be a very passionate issue. So I'm going to try to keep this under 15 minutes, and so I'm going to talk really fast, and I'm going to, Euphoric Impact, I did listen to your 30-minute video. And I took a lot of notes, and I'm going to try to address what I believe are the fundamental differences between your worldview and my worldview. I'm going to hopefully articulate what I think those differences are and why you and I view the world differently. And I do enjoy our conversations. As a matter of fact, if we lived in the same town, I would love to go out to dinner with you and we could talk for hours. I really would. Because I think it's very difficult to talk about some of these things over YouTube, but nonetheless, we'll do the best that we can. So here goes. The number one difference, I believe, Euphoric Impact, is that you reject God, right? And I don't want to misrepresent you. Let me also say that you claim that I lied about your position about illegal amnesty for illegal aliens, affirmative action, and Ayn Rand. If I lied about it, I do apologize. I really thought that you held those positions, but I wasn't just trying to make stuff up. So if I misrepresented you on those three items, then I do apologize. But let me go back to our fundamental differences. So the fundamental difference that you and I have, Euphoric Impact, is that you reject God, right? Not only just God of the Bible, but you reject God in general, if I'm not mistaken. And as a matter of fact, at 7 minutes and 12 seconds into your video, you claimed that I accept God without any evidence. And I think that is the most absurd statement probably made in the history of mankind, that I accept God without any evidence. There is tons of evidence for the existence of God. And you say, well, you don't want this to be a religious discussion, but this needs to be talked about up front, because I believe that it ultimately is one of the fundamental pillars that you and I disagree upon, and it's going to change our view of human affairs drastically. And since belief systems drive behavior and you reject God, that's huge. And so you said that I accept God without any evidence, but I would say there's a mountain of evidence. And I could spend hours and hours and hours with books and books and books about the Kalam cosmological argument, the argument from consciousness, the argument from what initiates your desires, neural pathways, chemical deposits, electrical impulses, and that we're not just a bag of chemicals, that we have an initiation of desire that comes from a human soul that was created by a creator. And there's also arguments of order in the universe, irreducible complexity, how stupid evolution is, and the fact that you reject your creator and a divine presence is huge, because you don't believe in the Bible. I don't know what your thought is about the Bible, but I would guess that you think it's a comic book, right? You don't think there's anything useful in the book, and you think it's probably a book used or written to control people, which nothing could be further from the truth, because I believe that book is what sets people free. So I just wanted to say that, and I think you also say about 10 minutes and 46 seconds, you claim that God is not needed for humans to get along. I believe that's what you said. You said God is not needed for humans to get along. Matter of fact, let me play that clip right now. I'll play it right now.
Even in the absence of a God, we can have fully objective morality truths. We do not need revelation and surrender to divine authority to obtain this. We can get position on such moral realities through philosophical reflection. Yet, there is an interesting observation to be made here, I think. It appears he is capable of attending to his racial political positions in a manner likened to his religious beliefs. However, if he avoided the metaphysical luggage of spiritual realms and the vacuous surrender to arbitrary commandments, then he would accept that no God is needed for fellow human beings to get along. But I digress.
Okay, so you just heard what Euphoric Impact said, and since you believe that God, I couldn't disagree with you more, Euphoric Impact. God is absolutely needed for humans to get along. See, I believe that in the heart of every man on earth, that our heart is wicked and that we'll never get along without God. The Bible tells us that unless Jesus Christ be lifted up, he will draw all men unto him. And so unless you lift Jesus Christ up, we ain't going to get along. There's going to be wars, rumors of wars, and fighting forever unless we acknowledge our Creator and His holy book, which tells us an instruction manual on how to get along on earth. So I don't want to spend like the whole video talking about God, although it wouldn't hurt to do that. It's just that is our number one difference, Euphoric Impact. You have to admit that. And okay, so let's move on. At 26 minutes and 40 seconds, you say that white genocide is a code for white domination, right? And so when you watch the video of those three women talking about genocide of the white race, you think there's a hidden agenda for the white race to dominate non-white people, right? You just, when I see that video, I don't see it at all. I do not see that video as a hidden agenda to dominate. I believe at, what was it? At 29 minutes, you said, using the argument of genocide to promote securing power, maintaining resources, destroying American principles, prevent moral evolution, and using propaganda, right? So you see a lot more in that video from those three white women than I do, right? You're implying that there's a white domination theme behind it. Now, whether White Rabbit had that in mind or not, I can't say, but when I saw the video, I did not see that. Now, let me say, right, that let me give you the definition of genocide and extinction. And you gave this same definition. And so I think that's important to cover that. The definition of genocide is the deliberate and systematic destruction in whole or part of an ethnic, racial, religious, or national group. And you claim that white people are making an erroneous claim, that white people are not going through genocide. We're not going through a deliberate or systematic destruction. You claim, on the other hand, white people are going through extinction, a species dying out. Now, let me just speak plainly. Let me see how much time I got. Okay, let me just speak plainly in as plain words I can. I believe, Euphoric Impact, that you and an extension of you, the black race, and me, an extension of me, the white race, are on the plantations of the New World Order controllers. And now we could argue all day long who the New World Order controllers are. I would put forth my best guess that they're Zionist Jews and Jesuit Catholics that from the Vatican, both of those groups. But that's not the topic of the video. But I would just say there is a group that controls what we see in the media, what gets put in our educational systems. They run things like the Rockefeller Center, the CIA. They control the strings of our government. And I would say they have decimated the black race. They've decimated the black race by doing what you say? By promoting abortion in the black community, by promoting entitlements to the black people, that putting forth the idea and encouraging the behavior that black people need entitlements to from the government. They promote and lift up leaders like Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton, and they also encourage things that do not promote the health and welfare of the black race. And so I believe that is happening not by white people, but by the controllers of the New World Order. And that you and I actually share a commonality, that we're both on the plantation, right? And what they have done successfully and are continuing to do to the black race is also being done to the white race. That they are now trying to make a mongrel race by getting us all to intermix. And I would like to read you something from a book that I believe puts forth a position that I agree with, where they think they can control us better. And so the same thing that they have. Let me go to this book. Okay, I don't want to lose my train of thought. Discrimination: The Key to Sanity by Dr. Peter Ruckman. I want to read you something from this book. And I might have to make this two parts. I didn't want to make it two parts, but I very well might have to make it two parts. Let me go. All right, I want to read you from page 1 of this book. And the reason I want to read you this, Euphoric Impact, is because I believe this. Right? When I read this, I believe this is true. And so when I see that video of those three white women, it plays exactly along with the paragraph that, or the page that I'm going to read. The goal of a classless, sexless, raceless society is total destruction of the American Republic as conceived by Adams, Jefferson, Hamilton, Washington, and Franklin. This has never bothered a progressive or liberal one time since 1776. What they are working for actually is for one mongrelized, indiscriminate mass of mindless neuters who can be controlled. Do you hear that? Who can be controlled? They're trying to decimate all the races. They don't want any race to have any individuality or any significance, right? Because they want one mongrel race that they can control. And so when you see white people fighting these controllers to make us a mongrel race, right? It isn't that we want to dominate over everybody. We're just trying to fight back from what is obviously a plan of genocide. And let me go back to the definition of genocide. The deliberate and systematic destruction in whole or part of an ethnic, racial, religious, or national group. That's exactly what these controllers want to do, is genocide. And if this was being implemented on any other race, you wouldn't have that suspicion of domination that you have, that you expressed in 26 minutes and 40 seconds. But let me keep reading. The quickest way to do this is to destroy each individual's ability to discriminate, to note and to mark out things that are different by nature. There are things that are different by nature in the black race, Asian race, and white race. And it's not a terrible thing to point them out. There's differences in those races, okay? And it's natural to point out the differences. The things that have always been different and always will be different, no matter who attempts to equalize them, or by what means this is attempted. You cannot have a one world, new world, or new world order under the son of perdition. 2 Thessalonians 2, John 17, Revelation chapter 3 and 13 and 17. If anyone refuses to blend into this neuter, gray, mindless, and undifferentiated mass called the people. What this means from the standpoint of objective science is that each individual's sanity has to be taken from him. He must be brought to that state by force if necessary, where he will acknowledge that men are women, where he will acknowledge that men are women, hot is cold, black is white, sin is holiness, Christ is Buddha, yin is yang, up is down, right is left, queers are normal, ignorance is education, crime is legal, children are adults, men are animals, and heaven is hell. This is the goal of the global citizen who want a new age. The trick is to con the sucker into thinking that once this is accomplished, it will end all racial strife and wars. That's a very important sentence. The trick is to con the sucker into thinking that once this is accomplished, when he says this is accomplished, he's talking about one neuter, mongrel race for all of humanity. It will end all racial strife and wars because all differences will have been eliminated. That ain't gonna, see, that's what they think is gonna solve the problem, is that once we get everybody intermixed, there ain't gonna be any more wars or racial strife because everybody will be the same. But see, man's heart is wicked. There was strife since the Garden of Eden when Cain killed Abel, and I would imagine they didn't have a racial issue. Okay? So the next step would be to make it a crime to discriminate. Oh, I'm sorry, let me read back. The first step naturally would be to declare that discrimination is a sin. The next step would be to make it a crime. The next step would be to arrest, fine, or imprison anyone who practiced discrimination. Sanity, what is desired, is a national loony bin that can be kept under guard. So that's exactly what they're trying to do with these hate speech laws. A crime is a crime. It don't matter. There's no such thing as a hate speech crime, in my opinion. A crime is a crime. I keep looking back at my time because I'm fixing to run out of time. Okay, I would just say, Euphoric Impact, that I do believe that the word genocide applies. Look, I'm going to go over 15 minutes. I just can't do it. I hate to do that, but I'm just going to do it. Okay,